What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Tuesday Twitch stream. Boy, things I learned. Do not sweat a sport until 5:30 in the morning. Let it go, especially when said sport doesn't even finish. And the other is don't sweat a sport where you have no idea how many matches are left, because that was a lot of wasted time. Like, still in second, but I'll be lucky to finish in the top 10. And if I'd known that last night, I would have gotten a lot more sleep. Oh, man. Can we talk tennis strategy? My tennis strategy is live in tennis chat and beg and pray that people help me. That's my strategy. I mean, I guess if the vast majority of you actually wanted to talk tennis, I guess we could do it, but I'm sure it's like all of two of you. So, I thought the FanDuel slate ended last night too. Yeah, I know, so dumb. That's okay. I guess if I could avoid like 160 plus point performance, I'll be okay. But the way the ones went late last night, I'm not super excited. Screw tennis. It's how I feel right now. You know, winning the GPP most of the night, and then realizing that, like, oh, there's like 4 other matches that were not included on the Draftkings slate. Sucks. It sucks. That's fine. We're going to talk about basketball, though. So let's analyze this GPP from the late slate. Let's look at this FanDuel main. And let's look at what other tournaments you guys want me to look at. There should be another DraftKings early one. Here it is. We can pull up some quarter arcades too if you want. Just let me know. So first things first, I guess, is we'll go through my teams. Just kind of show you where I ended up. So as you can see, pretty good slate for me. Oh, I only cashed 9 teams? Well, that's unfortunate. So my core was pretty tight. Basically locked in Damian Lillard, Marcus Morris, Donovan Mitchell, Russell, Bagley. So that was a pretty solid core. All those guys did pretty well. Mitchell was super cheap on FanDuel. He was 6,500. Best teams were the 2 that had Buddy Hield. Obviously wish I had more Buddy Hield. 5,500 for a player of Buddy Hield's caliber was simply a misprice. I was really surprised to 7%. Had I known 7%, I would have done something slightly different. But that's okay. Can't be a soothsayer. I think the biggest mistake here was at small forward. Didn't give myself enough diversity. Didn't give myself enough Jaylen Brown. Didn't get myself enough Gordon Hayward. Too much Marcus Morris, but honestly, with no RJ Barrett, his usage rate goes up, so I can't be too upset. This is the one position I thought I really screwed up, was power forward between Kevin Love and Bagley. I just thought especially the Kevin Love and Bam side, I just thought I didn't give myself enough points to win. And I didn't really, right? Really wasn't that competitive to winning anything. And then I had the Hayes bust, but only a little bit of Whiteside. Wish I had more. Yes. So those are my teams. I think pretty self-explanatory. I think if I could do it again, I would just jam in more Whiteside. I knew my 8 in projection was a little high. Kind of wish I had just jammed in more Whiteside, but everything else here looks pretty good. Will FC have a tennis optimizer soon, or am I missing it? It is coming soon. Thank you, BSB, for the 1,000 bits, buddy. Really appreciate it. Congratulations on the tennis win last night over on DraftKings, where they actually finished their slate on time. I'm not bitter. I'm not tired. I'm not grumpy at all. I promise. No way. I'm none of those things. That's okay. I know nothing about the sport, and I'm turning a profit. I shouldn't be mad. It's just like when you're winning a GPP from like midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and the whole time you're just knowing, I should go to sleep. I should go to sleep. I should go to sleep. 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and then at 5:30, you finally drop the second. You're like, oh, I can go to sleep. The slate's almost over. Womp womp. Is there a tutorial vid on the optimizer? So, are you a Dave Burner account? Are you a Zach Burner account? Because that is the project I am working on right now. It was supposed to be done a couple weeks ago. So, like, if you want to blame hate for there being not a How to Use Fantasy Cruncher video series, right here. This guy. All my fault. I try to make it too perfect. I knew nothing about the sport 9 months ago, thanks to Allie, Grand, and Dave Duncan. They taught me a lot. Yeah, I'm going to bring back my tennis model from, like, the glory days of, like, when it just started. I'm going to try to grind tennis a little bit more this year. It was a fun sweat. I enjoyed it. Obviously, I was staying up till 5 a.m. It's nice. So the best part about the tennis sweat is if you need to watch a match, you just go to ESPN Plus and you just turn it on. They have all the courts. It basically is like what everything they've ever wanted the golf sweat to be. Like, everyone who loves the golf sweat's like, I just wish I could watch every shot. And tennis, it's just like, okay, what court you playing on? Boop, 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 boop. So, like, I'm sitting here in the office last night. I got, like, one match on this TV, one match on this screen, two matches on this screen in front of me. It's phenomenal. It's fantastic. It's been awesome. But it's just like, no one cares about tennis. So, womp womp. But, so as you can see, the ownership percentages here, I think I did a pretty good job with this. This is something that I've really been harping on. I actually was duped a few times here. That's kind of a little concerning. I thought that these ownership ranges were pretty small. I'm actually really surprised I'm getting duped when I've got, like, no players over 45%. That's pretty insane to me. Like here, like for example, a 235 not getting duped, but somehow a 234 and a 229 is. That feels like an outlier to me, especially because I'm leaving cap. Like, I left 400 on the table, and I'm getting duped 7 times. Like that just feels like an outlier for sure. So. I'm not going to overreact to that. I think the process is good in terms of trying to reduce ownership. But this does look a little weird, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, like, playing DFS tennis and not being able to just, like, watch all the matches. Like, that would be miserable. I can't imagine anything more miserable, to be honest. Okay, so those are my teams on FanDuel. And then I played one team in the Big DK tournament because I also entered the sports betting queue. Just in the name of transparency, we'll throw this bad boy up as well. So played one team, finished 411th in the big tournament. It was duped 5 times. This was about as chalky of a team I think as I've ever run. But it was unique in the sports betting queue, which is what I was trying to do. Simons, Russell, Hayward, Tatum, Whiteside, Lillard, Grant, Paschal. Obviously, it wasn't Paschal originally. This was Draymond Green. Had I known that Draymond Green was going to be out, Hayward would have been Burks 100 times out of 100. So that would have been another 20, 25 points for me. Let me just see how many points that would have been. I can tell you. Let me just, instead of guessing, let me just look. So it would have been 60. And Hayward got me, 33? So 27 more points would have been 206 or 406. So it would have been in the top 10. So, I think the process was good. I can't really complain about that too much. So just obviously, sometimes if you lock an early guy, better news comes out later. But again, pretty happy with this team. I think this team makes a lot of sense. Um, I've been on the Hassan Whiteside train for a month now. He's a 10K player. I don't know why DK made him 7,500, but like Whiteside's a 10K player. So, okay. Oh yeah, I gotta load the new emotes. Thank you, FNA, for reminding me. I have to load all my new emotes. Got a bunch created, so I've got like 6 or 7. I'm gonna load up. So, am I playing NHL tonight? Maybe. I haven't decided. I'm honestly probably gonna play tennis first. I think I haven't looked at the GPP sizes. So, what is the DraftKings NHL tournament size? I guess NHL. It's a 50K? Oh, the tennis tournament's bigger, so I'm probably going to play tennis. There's not even a cheap queue. So yeah, I'm probably just going to play tennis. Tennis lock is after NHL. Ah, shit, really? Well, that's annoying, because I have darts tonight. Well, hopefully no one scratches, I guess. But yeah, it's probably going to limit my exposure into the tennis world, because I definitely don't want to get caught doing that. So. I'll play a bunch still, though, but not going to go crazy. Last night, tennis lock was at 6, I believe. Pretty sure. Or 6 for me, 7 for all of you guys. So. Okay, anyone want their lineups reviewed on NBA? If so, just do me a solid. There's no late swap. Yeah, but I have to leave before lock, right? Although I guess really no one's going to, like, be a walkover in the second round. But still. At least none of the chalk guys are going to walk over, but still. So if anybody wants their NBA lineups reviewed, let me know. Let me know the tournament you were in. We have limited FanDuel offerings, but we have the full assortment of DraftKings tournaments. So if you're looking for something, let me know. If not, we can continue on to just, I'm not going to cover a one-game NBA slate. We can look at some of the winning lineups, I guess, too, if nobody has a team they want to look at. So the winner here was Bro. Again, he does a really good job of avoiding being duplicated here. This is the first thing I noticed when I pulled these up. The max number of dupes he's got is 6. That's really good. Over 150 script. And the vast majority of his teams are unique. And if we sort by ownership, we can see that the vast majority of his dupe teams are his highest owned teams. So the ones that are way up here with all the chalk. Those are the ones that are duped the most. So you can see as you get basically towards the bottom, anything below basically 240 really is only going to get duped at max once. So that's not really killing too much of your upside. No problem, Golden RPGs. I will pull you up next. So the differentiator for him at the top was... Wait, what? Oh. I was going to say, that team is awful. I forgot I did a sort by ownership. I was like, wait, how did this team win? It's awful. So differentiator was Booker. And he had unowned Cantor. I can't tell you how many times I've tried the unowned Cantor thing this year. I've tried that thing about 25 times. Maybe not 25, like 15 times. I passed one time because center's loaded and he immediately does the Cantor thing. Womp womp. But seriously, this is a good team. So instead of taking on Simons, he used Cantor at center. for his value. That makes a lot of sense, actually. A lot of people did it with Willie Cauley-Stein and some other players to try to save value there. But doing it here, Marquise Chris, but doing it with Cantor, I think, was a pretty smart option. Dwight Howard hasn't been a defender he has been in past years. So, all right, so let's go take a look at the lineups, the tournaments that you guys want me to take a look at here. So we'll start with DK's 50 cent minimax. Golden RPGs, was that the early or the main? Just help me out here. Yeah, just tell me what slate you guys played yesterday, just to help me, please figure out what tournament you're talking about. The main, okay, 50 cent main. There were two of them, so we'll have to go look for them both. Username. Okay, nope, you're in the other one. All right, so you played 150 teams, first of all. Let's just take a look at your player exposures compared to everyone else first. So let's see. Big stands on Whiteside, Simons, underweight on Lillard, but I'm sure you weren't trying to be. Overweight on Tatum. So, interesting. This overweight on Joe Ingles is interesting. So this is a player that I have loved with no Mike Conley. But Conley's back, and they traded for Jordan Clarkson, who's taken over a lot of the ball handling work. So if I just pull up real quickly. Oops. I did want Wowie. Fantasy. I pull up Utah Jazz. And I just put up the with Conley on the floor. You can basically see Joe Ingles does next to nothing, 0.72 fantasy points per minute. And then if I put him on the floor with one of Clarkson, I actually hasn't played any minutes with him yet. Yeah. It's too small of sample size, though. Or if I put him on with Mitchell, you can see Joe Ingles moves to like a 0.6 fantasy point per minute player. And so there's really no reason to pay $5K for that guy. So that's the one thing I think that kind of stands out here. Is that's a pretty thin play, especially when you have guys like Grant at 4,400 that are going to start. Like, I would much rather just eat more Jeremy Grant. Oh, you didn't see the Draymond news. Obviously that hurt, because you would have swapped that to Paschal. That was a pretty direct 1-for-1 swap. So this looks a little worse than that, because you would have made that swap. But the rest of the player pool looks pretty good. Overweight on Cantor. So you're doing a good job of being overweight on these guys down here for the most part. This is always good. Like the guys that you are going to, like the 3% owned guys, you're getting more of them, which is really what you want to do. So yeah, I think the biggest mistake here was Joe Ingles. I think there were a lot of players in this price point that you could have gone with that were way better options. So I think if you had just fixed that and then saw the Draymond news, this would have looked a lot better. Hopefully that's helpful. I don't really try to like. I mean, I guess I can look at construction, but just looking at these ownerships, like it's hard to have not constructed this correctly, right? So you're super overweight on Portland. You have your Golden State run backs. It's like all these teams are going to look about right. You bet. Let's see. There's another one in here. The early dime Travie wants me to take a look at it. Okay. So. How many entries max is that, Travie? It's 20 max. I see it. Hold on. said it was the early slate, though. Right? The early dime. So that's early dime time. I think it's this one. So let's do Travi. There you are. All right, let's do it. So early slate. This is okay. So this was the news where all the Brooklyn value opened up in the early window. And you had a choice to make. You could have ate that value, or you could have waited for Pelicans value, if Drew Holiday was out, or any other value to pop up in those like 5 p.m. games. So I'm just trying to remember the slate. I chose to lock Dinwiddie and wait for the late value, which actually did open up. But let's see what you did. So you locked Vooch, which I don't think was a terrible idea. You locked Marcus Morris, didn't think that was a terrible idea. So here, don't hedge here. If you got a chalk play like this, right, like Dinwiddie and Harris, make a decision. So, like, you don't need, like, trying to just go half and half here is just never going to be the right strategy. When you got mega chalk players, just take a stand one way or the other. So get in or get out. So, like, if you're going to go 10 times overweight on Vooch, that's cool. That's pretty extreme for me. I would say this is my biggest problem with your Thibault is you don't really need to be 30 times the field on Thibault. But don't wish-wash. Don't, like, try to hedge out of, like, the most important decision of the slate, right? Like, for me, you're paying rake on all these tournaments, right? So you're losing about 10, 15% of your buy-in before you start. You asked very nicely, BSB. It is a lineup review. And you asked very, very nicely, and you moved to the top of the line because you helped me with understanding how to play Let It Ride. That was fun, by the way. That was fun. I don't know. I always lose when I play Let It Ride. With you, it was going much better than when I do it myself. So I'm going to assume that you were just teaching me how to play it. Yeah, S. Brown, I'll definitely get to you. Promise. I'm not going anywhere. But so make a decision on Thibault, right? So if you've got chalk, make a decision one way or the other. That's going to be your biggest edge on the slate. Yeah, BSB. What would you like me to review? So like you did a good job here. Like you made decisions on Giannis and Bagley, and the Bagley one didn't work out, but you made good decisions here on the rest of the chalk. Just follow that all the way to your chalk, guys. Make a decision. You did it with Marcus Morris. Just make a decision with Dinwiddie and Harris, and I think you're going to end up building much better teams. Because once you make decisions with those guys, it trickles down to the bottom, and then you can just be overweight on all the other guys you like. Can you slide the screen over? Oh, well, that's an issue. Here, let me get my face out of the way. How's that looking? Oops, that's still a little too far. How's that? Is that better? So make a decision here on the top owned guys. I think that's definitely the best way to make it go better for you. So I would just make decisions on the chalk. Because when you make I didn't play this term, but if you just make decisions on the chalk, your lineups come out much more naturally. I promise. All right, BSB, let's do it. So you played. Was that the main slate, or was that was that the main slate, or was that the late slate? Never mind, I got you. Late swap early. Here we go. So again, same slate, same idea. So we've got this chalk here. Dinwiddie, Harris, Morris, Hayes, Levert. You didn't know about Hayes, so if you ended up stacking the early game, there's not much you could have done about that. So that's the other thing you have to keep into account. There was a big gap here between those early games and these late games in terms of news. First things first is probably would have gotten off of Brandon Ingram, but I forgot to do it myself, so I can't blame you if you didn't. All right, let's do it. Big show breaks. So see here, this is exactly what I was just talking about, Travi. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So you did a good job here of making a decision on the chalk, right? You decided to go in on Dinwiddie, in on Morris, in on Bagley, in on Jared Allen, and you pass on all the rest. This is how I approach it. It's where if you're paying rake, you want to be making strong stands against the biggest decisions of the day. And by the way, that can easily mean just playing 100% of Damian Lillard, right? If he's going to be 68% and you have 100%, you still have 33% more Damian Lillard than the field. And therefore, your lineups are going to be 33% better than the field's, right? So I love this. This is exactly how I make my decisions. And then now I would just say, though, at the bottom, like here, once you get down to this part, you don't need to take 100% Tobias Harris, right? Now, I get he was one of the a correlation play to go with your stack, so I get it. But, like, why not spread this out a little bit? Why not get yourself 50% Harris, take a 6-time stand and get yourself, 30% Simmons instead of 5%, right? If you had 30% Simmons, this would have gone, a little bit better for you, right? So you don't really need to take this stand here on Tobias Harris. You don't need to be 12 times the field. I think this is one of the biggest things that I've learned over the last couple of years by looking at players like Osimo, Shit My Money, Tom, is that you don't need to be a superhero at every single spot along the way. So there's certainly certain spots where being a hero is good, right? In chalk, being a hero is good. Because you're either going to win all the money or lose all the money. And by the way, that's okay. If you could tell me, by the way, that I would finish in the top 0.1% or the bottom 0.1% every single slate, I would immediately take that, right? That is exactly what I'm trying to do. So, up here, it's fine. But, like, for example, you got a lot of things right on this slate. Like, 100% Marvin Bagley was a great decision. 100% Spencer Dinwiddie was a great decision. Fading Joe Harris was a great decision. Fading Jackson Hayes, a great decision. Fading Brandon Ingram, a great decision. So you've made all these great decisions, and you've thrown it all away because you locked Tobias Harris. And it's not like I did this for years. This was a big, big, big leak of mine. Huge. Because you did all the hard things right. You basically did all the hard part right. And then you got to... And then you kind of just threw it all away. Oh, trust me, you do not suck. I saw you in the tennis lobby last night. Don't you dare try to tell me you suck. All right? That is some fake news. You do not suck. But I think this is the part that we could all work on. And it's not going to be you, by the way. I bet you if I pulled up 20 people in this chat right now, I bet you 15 would have done the exact same thing. So, it's not you. Like, this is a very common thing to have to see. And by the way, if this were a 3K guy, this is still different. So this is... Let's just, if you want to take a stand on a 3K guy or a $3,200 guy that you think is going to break a slate, and it lets you get all the other stars and be overweight on all the other stars, that's okay, right? Because you're just, at that point, you're changing the dynamic of what the slate is, right? You're now going stars and scrubs more than the field is by doing that. But, like, there's no reason to go 100% on like an expensive guy that's unowned. Now, I'm not saying go 100% on a 3K guy that's going to be unowned. I'm not suggesting that. But you can definitely take bigger stands with cheaper guys because their upside is so much higher than whatever. Like if Tobias Harris puts up 55, like that's great, but that dynamically isn't changing the slate, right? It's not like you're fitting in an extra superstar. If you have a 3K guy that goes for 30, that changes the whole slate for you. You do, and I'm taking you took, but like you did that already, right? You already took 4 strong stands. So once you get to the unowned section, you can give yourself a little more room. Like I'm not saying play 15% Tobias. I'm saying playing like 45%, 50, right? Like you could play 50% Tobias here, still take a huge stand against the field, and then give yourself, maybe a couple more Ben Simmons combinations. Give yourself a combination with, I don't know, someone else who did really well to be results oriented. Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier got there? I can't believe Evan Fournier got there. Jesus. I gave up on Evan Fournier after the first half. I had a lot of Evan Fournier. I gave up on him pretty early on, so. Is the 3K guy required? It's very slate specific. I normally will have cheap guys because they let you fit in other superstars. And as we saw yesterday, between Ben Simmons and Damian Lillard, having superstars matters. So, like, for example, if Damian Lillard had been properly priced, let's just say, for example, Damian Lillard had been 11,500, right? By the way, we were still playing him at 11,500. Like, if he showed up tomorrow at 12,000, I'm still playing Damian Lillard, right? So, but let's just say he was properly priced. That you would need 3K guys to get in that 90-point upside. No problem, BSB. If you got more questions, too, you know how to reach me. So, feel free to. Will this stream be available for replay? I'd like to rewatch this tonight. Yeah, actually, I will upload it onto YouTube. This is some good evergreen content. So, I will have James make me a logo, and I'll throw it on YouTube. Sorry, someone else asked for a review. S. Brown, the $4.20 max. What slate was that? Was that the early slate, the late slate? What do you got for me? I'm not taking football questions, but while I wait for S. Brown to... here he goes. At the end, though, I'll take some football questions. All right, let's do it. And I'm losing my voice, slowly but surely. This is what happens when you're yelling at the TV all night. Oh, man. All right. S. Brown, what is your username? Sorry, I know you posted it the first time. Or I thought you did. Never mind, it's the same as your... Got it. I see that single entry question. I'll get back there. Well, first of all, S. Brown, congratulations on the profit. So... my biggest issue here is I don't understand what the point of... I'm trying to think of how to say this correctly. I'm not sure what the point of going underweight on Russell is when you're taking this stand on Portland. I don't see any Alec Burks. So if you have this much Portland, 100% Whiteside, 100% Lillard, 35% Simons, 50% Trent, you had a bunch of Hazonia I saw. Why not run this back as much? Right? So were you locked out? Like, for example, I guess you might have been locked out. But like you didn't have any Draymond, for example, to swap into. Although I guess you probably swapped that to Paschal. But like if you're gonna have that much Portland, I would have just run it back with a little more Draymond. But maybe you were just locked out with Wiggins and Brown and Tatum. Thank you, Apache Master 22 for the 500 bits. Really do appreciate that. Apache Master, I can't check you out overall, but if you got a FanDuel if you played FanDuel yesterday, we have some FanDuel tournaments I can look for you. Yeah, you just might have been locked down, I guess, with the news. So, thank you very much, BSB, for the tier 1 sub to Apache Master. Much appreciated. Yeah, I guess you just got locked out here on the news. I guess this looks better when you think about the start times. I still think I would have had a little more Golden State at the front, but I understand if you thought that Wiggins and Jalen and Tatum were just better plays than the Warriors before that Draymond news came out. Like, I guess that makes sense. So, that might be a little bit of Monday morning quarterbacking. So, I think this is good. I like how you took stands at the top. I do think you got caught out with the news. I think if you could have had a little more flexibility late, you could have gotten on more Warriors. So, I think this looks good. I think I was being a little too harsh at the start. Also, by the way, can you tell me why you played Bryn Forbes? I saw a lot of sharps on Bryn Forbes yesterday, and I had absolutely no idea what the hell they saw. So can you just tell me what you saw? Like, it was a really sharp play, because I saw a bunch of sharps. I mean, industry-wide, I saw a lot of sharps with Bryn Forbes, and I had no idea where it came from. So, and I looked, so I'd love to know what got you on him. Thank you, Gary44, for the follow. Much appreciated. How risky is it playing without players at the 9 p.m. left? I mean, it depends on what the game is, right? So, like, if it's a low-scoring game, let's say it's... thank you, Grand Pebble, for the follow. Wow, thank you, BSB, for the 5 gifted subs. If you got one, please do thank BSB for that gifted sub. Much appreciated. What was I just talking about? Oh, 9 p.m. slate. So it really just depends what the game is. If it's a low-scoring game, then so be it. If it's one of my favorite games of the day, so... it really just depends on what the game is. Like, if it's Spurs at Lakers, like, I'm not going to be too worried about it if I'm fading it. If it's Portland and... I don't know, I'm trying to think of a high-scoring team. Phoenix. I'd be a little more concerned. So. You can find BSB over in the Tennis Channel. Tennis Channel was fun last night. Everybody was rolling. BSB took down the DK tournament. I was super live to win the FanDuel tournament for a lot and portion of the night. So hopefully I can do a little better today and get up top instead of that top 10 to 12 that I got coming after those last 3 matches finish up. But it's going to be fun. Thank you, BSB, for the another 5 tier 1 subs. I really do appreciate that, buddy. Again, like, so I think sometimes, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to re-answer that 9 p.m. question. I don't like the answer I gave the first time. You should always be trying to play the best plays, right? So I don't care if the best plays are at 7, 7:30, 8, 9, 10, 10-30, right? Don't forget what the overall goal is, right? It is to make the best roster possible. So that means rostering the best plays. In a situation where it's a tie, so let me pull up. Let's see if I can pull up. I'm gonna just see if I can pull up something from yesterday here. Fantasy Cruncher. There was a really good example on the early slate yesterday of what I thought was a tie, and I took the later guy. It was Josh Hart and someone, and I can't remember who it was. So I'm trying to look at it. Let's see. Shooting guard, 4,400. It was Josh Hart and Joe Harris. That's what it was. It was Josh Hart and Joe Harris. And I decided to leave Hart because I wanted to have more flexibility if news came at 4 o'clock. Right? There was a bunch of games at 5 or 4. I keep saying it was 4 Central, 5 Eastern. I decided to leave Hart in so I had flexibility. Now that all ended up becoming Jackson Hayes. Didn't work out. But in a situation where it's a tie, I'll take the later guy. So in case things happen that I'm not projecting, I have more flexibility. But other than that, I'm basically just going to play the best plays no matter what. What if the slate isn't a late swap slate? Then you just play the best plays, right? Like, play the best plays and don't think about it. Like, you don't have to worry about it. Like, that's the best part about FanDuel, right? Is you just play the best plays, you throw it in there, and you move on. So, that's the nice part about no late swap is sometimes you don't overthink things. And you just play the best plays and, inevitably, right? Be responsible on FanDuel with your bankroll because inevitably you're going to have the night where your guy gets scratched and it sucks. So. BSB, you can't send me messages, buddy, when I have that, when I move my camera on the other side. I move my face on the other side. People are going to see those. That's why I have the camera right here. Normally my face is over here, so if you send me a Discord message, it doesn't show up on the screen. I have it very well planned out. The problem is when I'm doing a lineup review and my face is over here, those bad boys are going to pop on the screen. You know what? I better cover it now because someone's going to do something stupid. So, and I think we're kind of heading into the nonsense section of general NBA questions anyways, so. I get after last night what Manny means when it comes to not forcing the optimizer. Oh, let me tell you, that is probably the most important sentence we have talked about today. It is so true. Now, the one thing I would say to that is make sure that the numbers you have in there are correct, right? So, if you particularly love player X, call him Anthony Davis, right? Make sure your numbers are right. So, like sometimes, and this happens to me more when I plug in my model for guys I love, like guys that pop. And I'm like, why is player X popping? And I go back to the model and I find out that there's a mistake. Whether it be I typed in the wrong fantasy point per minute, whether it be it's got a DVP ranking that's way out of whack and I need to manually fix. So using the optimizer to make sure that like your projections are actually what you think they are is huge, right? But sometimes you're just not going to get a guy like Anthony Davis or LeBron James, right? Sometimes you're just not going to get them. But if you just take the time to go back in there and make sure the projection is good. So that's the one thing I'd say. Just make sure Fantasy Cruncher is as good as the inputs you give it, right? And Fantasy Cruncher's projections are awesome and they work great. But if you throw in a bad projection for a player, Fantasy Cruncher isn't saving you, right? So now on the other token, If you plug in really good projections, Fantasy Cruncher is going to give you the correct optimal lineups to help you win a tournament. It doesn't fake optimize. It optimizes what you give it. So it's a very powerful drug. Right? That's what I try to when people are making the switch over from other lineup builders, this is what I say. Fantasy Cruncher is better at its job than everything else. So you can't no longer blame the lineup builder anymore. Manny, thank you very much for the tier 1 sub. Fantasy Cruncher is a super powerful drug. It is amazing. It does everything you could possibly... Whatever, I'm not trying to shill. This is not a Fantasy Cruncher shill. I'm trying to make a point that your inputs matter. Your inputs matter. Because if you put in bad inputs, you're done. Like, you're not... Like, Fantasy Cruncher is going to spit out the lineups, the perfect lineups based on your bad inputs, and you're done. So you have to take the time to go through the projections, make sure they're what you want them to be. Because if there's a mistake, it's not going to save you. But the best part I love best is when you have the right projections. Oh, it's gonna give you all those excellent lineup. So I think that's I can't read because in gaming. Sorry, that blue font is really small. I have a model that I use, and on slates I play, I provide my afternoon projections for you guys to help you kind of give you a baseline, something to compare with the Fantasy Cruncher projections with. They're not perfect. They're what I use, and I definitely do tweak them after I post them. But again, I give them out to Discord members so you have something to compare with, right? What do you agree with more? The FC top level I projection or my projection, right? Or do you think it's somewhere in the middle? And then you can kind of massage the projections based on what you think is going to happen. So that's why I provide them. They're not meant to be a gospel. They certainly are not. It's just another to kind of help you think critically about the players in your player pool. That's what I want you to do. I want you to think critically about who's in my player pool, why are they in my player pool, and then use that beautiful Fantasy Cruncher drug to get you those perfect teams. Where are they posted? They are in the Siege's Corner channel. So if you have a sub to my channel or a Fantasy Cruncher subscription, you have it. It's right below the MLB channel. It's been a while since I posted some projections. I was in Vegas, so it's been a while, but they'll be back tomorrow for the full slate. But yeah, they're in Siege's Corner. We take NBA questions, all that jazz. So check it out if you're not a member of the Discord channel, which I know you are. So yeah, matter of fact, I can make sure you're in the channel, but I'm 100% sure you're in the channel. Yeah. I just replied with you so you can find it. It'll pop down for you. Oh, I'm sorry, I am Chappie. I did forget to criticize your lineups. What's the tournament? I'll do that right now. I knew I forgot someone. Does feel bad. Sorry, I got sidetracked. You did post. Yes, you did. You asked very nicely. Main slate 10K minimax. Let's do it. You asked super nicely too. Sorry about that. I promise it wasn't intentional. I just forgot. So 10K main slate minimax. Is that what you said? Main slate 10K minimax. 10K minimax. Here we go. There's two of them, so I'll have to guess which one you're in. We'll try that one first. I assume it's... Yes, I am Chappie. Alright, let's do it. So, 60 lineups here. So, let's just take a look at your ownerships first. I like this. So, see, this is what I was talking about earlier. I like taking stands at the top, one way or another. I would honestly just tell you, like, if you're going to only have 13% Trent, just have 0% Trent. But this is fine. Especially a guy like Gary Trent that's super high variance. If you're going to be this far underweight, just go all the way on him. Like, it's not his birthday. This is a bad analysis, but it's not his birthday. He's not going to break the slate. Don't like, if you're going to take a fade position, just take it. Yeah, I got time. Not going anywhere. I got some time. It's not like I have an NBA slate to prep for or anything. We can run a few minutes over. But I like how you took stands here at the top. I think that's good. I like how you took a stand on Jaylen Brown. I think that's good. Again, I would just ditch this Melo shares right here. Like, just ditch that. That's not going to help you at all. But again, see how I was talking earlier about just like massaging these bottles? I'm curious why TJ McConnell popped. I mean, he crushed, so clearly I missed something. But like, this is nice, right? So again, like, he's not taking 100% TJ McConnell. He's taking 19%. 9 times the field on TJ McConnell is a perfectly reasonable stand to take on a 3K guy that can go break a slate. Like, that's responsible. And, you know, I'm sure if I go look at his lineups, his best ones have TJ McConnell on them. So, again, Bryn Forbes. I just did not see Bryn Forbes. And he shot lights out. I'm just, like, really curious what you guys saw in Bryn Forbes. Yeah, no, for sure. I think that makes sense. There definitely were some very ugly value guys like Mario Hezonja and, Monty Morris and Patty Mills. I assume you had one Patty Mills and Bryn Forbes max per group. But again, you're doing this right? You're kind of just massaging these bad value plays, trying to find the one that could hit. If your core goes off, right? If your core goes off, you're going to be in good shape to win a tournament because you're going to have, well, not good shape. You're going to put yourself in the right position to win a tournament. You just have to find the right combination of value plays around them. So I like this. I really like what you did. I'm really trying to figure out what went wrong. Andrew Wiggins went wrong. No Eric Paschal. So you are locked out too. This is the only problem you had is you got locked out when Draymond got ruled out. You couldn't get to Paschal and Burks because you guys had already locked. I mean, that's just a tough break. That happens sometimes. It's why we tell you to be responsible with your bankroll. But there's nothing you did here that was wrong. You just caught a bad break with the news, right? You just caught a bad break. Like, you were locked in with Wiggins already, and you just couldn't swap to what were clearly better options at that point. And then, of course, those options go hit their ceilings. So, not going to be your best day, but I would hold my head high. I think you did a really good job with your process. Like, even Shabazz Napier, for example, right? If you knew that, like, Eric Paschal at 5,300 was going to open up, like, you're not playing Shabazz Napier. So, again, that's just kind of a poor break. I think your process was really good. Let's see, one more. 70K 4-point play. I have that up already. And we're looking for... Do I ever play single entry games? Oh, yeah, I play single entry all the time. All the time. Longhorn Pride. Well, that's not going to go in the Hall of Fame. So I like what you did here. Like, you decided to take a fade, but I'm not sure why. I don't mind taking this stand at the top, right? So if you're going to take a Portland doesn't get their stand, right? Then why the 90% Gary Trent and the 0% Simons? I'm not sure I get how this... So when I look at these percentages, I want you to tell me the story that you're trying to tell me, right? So you have 90% Trent, 80% Hazonia, and like how are those guys hitting their ceilings without Damian Lillard being really good? I guess this is that. I'm just not sure what the story you're trying to tell me is. Like, how does that game play out where all these things maximize for you? I'm struggling to see that. So, and it's the 70% Russell, I think, that gets me. Like, if you had 30% Russell here, like, okay. Like, he thinks that this game turns into a blowout, the bench guys go off. I get it. But once you put in 70% Russell, it's like, well, no, you think this is going to be a 4-quarter competitive game, and then the rest of your player pool doesn't really reflect that. So, I would just kind of make a decision on the game, right? Like, I believe this game's going to be competitive. I think these players are going to do well. Here, I feel like I'm getting a wish-wash. Because, like, even if D'Angelo Russell goes out there and dominates for 3 quarters, he's not going to pay off this price. So, and also Portland really just not going to get run out of their own building by Golden State that often. So, I would just kind of work on, like, the story you're trying to tell me with your teams, if that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to play value to fit in stars, right? So, like, you needed value to fit in Dame Lillard. You needed value to fit in Hassan Whiteside, right? I like the Jeremy Grant value play. I thought this was the best spot for Jeremy Grant that we had all season. And sometimes, sometimes there isn't good value, right? But inevitably, someone is going to play well, right? It's very rare that, like, there's a slate where every 3K guy sucks. It doesn't happen very often. So, like, normally someone does well. So, if you just, again, try to keep your percentages in line with that, like, for example, like, I've seen everyone with Bryn Forbes, like, he was 6% owned. I've yet to see the guy that played 75% Bryn Forbes. It all was 10%, 15% Bryn Forbes, right? So if he did terribly, he wasn't killed their night. But when he did well, like last night, like, he gave him a chance to win tournaments, which is all you're looking to do, if that makes sense. So, yeah, but sometimes you just got to play those 3K guys you're not comfortable with, Or just don't jam in Anthony Davis, too. Like, if you don't like the value guys, then go more mid-range. And then don't try to jam in Anthony Davis. So, kind of can go both ways. I just, when it comes to the chalky game, make a decision on the chalky game. That would be my big advice to you. Make a decision. Don't kind of put half your foot in the water, so to speak. So, all right, guys. Really appreciate you tuning in. Tomorrow, full 9-game slate. Actually, maybe more than that. Might be 11. So, a lot of games tomorrow. We'll talk about all the news, all the usage stuff. Again, if you don't already subscribe to YouTube, please do so. I post a slate preview there every day. That there's, more than one game. So check that out. Really do appreciate it. Subscribe, like the videos if you haven't already. Really does help us out. Until then, guys, I'll see you tomorrow.